If I asked you what you do right now in one sentence, would it sound like you or would it sound like LinkedIn actually wrote it for you? And there's an uncomfortable truth. Most people with amazing experiences are getting ignored, not because they are, unqualified, but because that story is drowning in buzzwords. So let me ask you something, and I want you to hold me onto it because I will answer it at the end of this video. What is the one question that instantly deletes the buzzwords and reveals your professional value? Because when you know that question, you stop sounding like everyone else and you start sounding like the obvious choice. Top of the morning, everyone. My name is Tshidi and I'm back with another video. Today, I'm actually going to show you how to craft an authentic professional story that actually lands. And this matters right now because hiring is actually quite noisy. Too many people are looking for opportunities and everyone is saying the exact same things. Let's be honest. We've all done it. We've written things like results-driven, strategic thinker, excellent communicator, dynamic self-starter. Because buzzwords don't actually talk about proof. They sound more like vibes and they sound really cool because you're talking about buzzwords from the industry that you come in from. Your professional story is supposed to answer one thing very clearly for anybody else. Why should I trust you with this particular role? Now, let me show you a framework that you can actually use, because once you actually get this, you will never write any other fluffy, buzzwordy summary ever again. And that is the STAR methodology or the STAR story. And here's the easiest way to actually craft an authentic professional background for yourself. What situation is it that you are trying to deal with? What task was it? What actions did you take? And what were the results? Remember, we're trying to write a story that will make somebody trust you. Situation. What situation were you in and what needed fixing and what was broken, right? Task. What was the goal? What did you have to achieve? Action. What did you do specifically? What was your role in this conversation? Because a lot of people have got the, we did this, we did that. And then the results. What changed because of it? And ideally, how did we measure it to make sure that we can see that that actually did change? I'm going to give you a buzzword version of just this thing that I'm talking about. One of those is, I'm a results-driven project manager with strong stakeholder management. I know you've actually heard that before. You've said it before somewhere in some of those interviews. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not really saying exactly what you did. And here's how you can actually try and break it down. In my last role, projects were consistently late because handovers were a bit messy from our side. That situation. I rebuilt the project timeline. That's the task. And then created a simple weekly risk check-in with each one of the team leads. That's the action that I took. Within 2 months, delivery improved and we stopped missing key milestones. That's the results. See the difference? One is a label about being results-oriented. The other one is evidence. The other one is speaking about what you did to achieve some of those goals. And here's the best part about this whole thing. You don't need a fancy job title for you to actually be able to explain this. You just need to actually have a bit of clarity. Authentic storytelling is very simple. Try these 3 different prompts that you can actually do. Before I joined, what was frustrating about the process? That's the first question that you need to actually ask yourself. Number 2, what did I change, introduce, remove, or improve? Number 3, what happened after? Time saved, money saved, risk reduced, quality improved, customers happier. What exactly happened after you did all those things that you then removed, introduced, or improved? Once you have these 3 main things that you're asking yourself for every job interview that you go to, I'm definitely sure that you're ready for the next thing. Another thing that I want people to also remember is that if you don't have the numbers, please don't panic. You can still show impact without actually panicking. So for example, one of the roles that I did, I reduced back and forth between ourselves as well as the client, right? Because you've done something to improve certain things. I made the process clearer. You've done something to clear the process, make sure that people can, implement certain things. I improved the turnaround time, helped the team make decisions faster. Can you see that? It's not necessarily given the numbers. And recruiters are not normally hiring just only for skills. They're hiring for outcomes. And to be honest, it's hard to disagree with impact. Now, here's one question that I've got for you guys. What buzzwords do you keep seeing that secretly actually annoys you? Please drop it in the comments so that we can actually discuss why some of them do not work or why some are not necessarily buzzwords. Now, in the next section, I'll actually show you how to turn this storytelling into a killer CV summary and a very strong interview answer. Now, here's how you actually use your story in 3 different places. On the CV side, your summary should be a mini version of your story. Not a list of adjectives. A strong structure is what you do, who you do it for, the kind of problems that you've solved, and the outcomes that you've been able to deliver. Example, I support cross-functional teams to deliver projects on time by simplifying handovers and removing blockers, which improves delivery and reduces last-minute surprises. It's very simple, straight to the point. That's a beautiful summary. Next thing is we then go into LinkedIn, the About section on your LinkedIn. This is where you actually add tiny bit of your personality to the whole thing. Not cringy, not poetry, just a bit about human side. You can say something like this. What I'm actually known for is taking messy processes and making them workable. And then you can obviously expand on that as you go along the journey. Now, the interview side is where you also need to tell the story. Tell me about yourself. I've got quite a number of videos where I speak about this question and how to actually answer it. Even in my last video about the top 10 questions that you'll get, this is one of those things that you will normally have to actually answer. You have to give them this. Where are you from? What do you specialize in? Always try and throw in an example of that and where are you going? And speaking of interviews, later in the video, I'm actually going to give you a 1-sentence line that you can actually use as the backbone of your professional story, but only after you do one key step first. So this quick authentic test can actually help you in figuring out how to sound very authentic. So always ask yourself, if someone who worked with me heard this story, would they actually nod and say, yeah, that's you? Or would they actually say, who's this person that's speaking in PowerPoint? If it doesn't sound like you, rewrite it in your natural voice. Professional doesn't actually mean robotic. Now here's the trick. Record yourself explaining your job to a friend, then try and write some of that thing down so that you can actually try and work through it. That's usually your best draft that you'll always be able to have. And also keep one proof pocket ready. So always have something where you can give an example. A proof pocket is a short example that you can actually throw in at any given time, especially when somebody actually asks you to give an example. Because in some instances, somebody's going to say, oh, I like what you're saying, but can you share an example? Always be ready with an example. Here's an example. Here's what I changed. Here's what I improved. And here's how the team actually benefited. However, please make sure that you understand this in case somebody throws a question in the middle of you explaining yourself. But first do this. Take a piece of paper or notepad or whatever you got and write these 3 lines. People come to me when? Figure that out, because you need to figure out what they come to you for. What I do differently, what is it that makes me stand out when it comes to other people, when I compare myself to other people, and what results do I normally get out of those things? Don't overthink it. Just answer honestly for yourself, because that's going to help you quite a lot in this next section. And now that we're here, this is the question that I told you guys you will ask yourself and it will give you the best answers. Remember I asked you, what is the one question that instantly deletes buzzwords and reveals your professional value? Well, here it is. What do people consistently rely on me for, and what changes because of it? That question forces you to be a bit more specific. It forces proof, and it pulls you out of the vague labels that we're throwing around into passionate and this and that, into a real value that you bring to a specific company. And when you answer it, your professional story becomes easy to actually write down, because once you answer that for yourself, it's no longer about sounding impressive. It's about sounding very clear. So instead of I'm a strategic results-driven leader, you could say people rely on me to bring order to complex projects. And because of that, teams deliver faster with fewer surprises. That's a story that's very memorable and that's very hireable. Today we covered 3 things. Why buzzwords weaken your message that you're trying to share with your hiring managers, the problem, as well as actions. Now, what I want you guys to take out of this one thing today is, and to apply it before your next application, is answer that one question for yourself. Rewrite your CV and your summary so that it actually sounds real to anybody else that's reading it. And tell me in the comments, what role are you applying for? How can I help you? And if you're still watching here, one of the things that I've actually been telling people is, please send me your resume. My email is below on the description here. Send me your CV. I'm looking at helping about 10 people to rework on some of their CVs. If you found these tips helpful, please don't forget to like, don't forget to share, subscribe, and share this with as many people as possible. And please do not forget to share that CV with me. Until we meet again, peace.